Okay. Okay, I'm getting kind of hot. Thank God. Because it's freaking 7 degrees over here and our heaters aren't working. So.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so we are recording. Yeah, okay, so I'll bring it up and then I'm gonna try to do different questions. Like, remember I threw in some questions? If I get repeats, that's just because I got nervous. We go with it.
Yeah, we'll flow.
Okay, just be like, and then give me your same answer. Just kidding.
I honestly don't even remember those little puns, to be honest. Yeah. Maybe the flower one. Don't throw that one again.
Okay, no, I have a bunch. Like, okay. I got a lot. Because just to keep the element of surprise. But okay. So I'm gonna check us in real quick. Like, check us in. Okay. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Primas podcast. I am Cindy. And that's my prima Jess.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in again.
And we have a special guest, Primo. Welcome back, Rudy, to the podcast. Yay! Yay!
Nice to be back at the Primas podcast.
Thanks, Rudy, for joining us. We missed you.
Yeah.
You guys too.
So we had Rudy on. Before we tell him about the backstory, you guys, I just want to say we had Rudy on in season 1 and season 2. Check those episodes out. They're really cool, especially if you're into like social media and branding. So season 1, we did the power of self-branding with social media tools. And season 2, we did build your network on social media. And Rudy has a network and he's working it. And I wanted to ask, how's Marvalina?
Oh, she's still there. She's now on TikTok. So I threw her from YouTube to TikTok now. So I have these wigs and there's a few characters that my mind made up now. So she comes up. She's there. She's still in there.
Okay. Yeah. I miss her. She was awesome. Very, very like
very spicy. Yeah,
and Cuban. Like I don't know too many Cuban people. So it was very like, damn, it's cool when the accents, the just everything. So yeah.
When I put that wig on, my accent just comes out. It's like a natural thing.
Yeah, it is very natural. So we are actually, you guys are not going to believe it, a little behind the scenes of the Primas podcast. I finally made a mistake. Just kidding.
It was a good one.
No, it wasn't, Rudy. You're being too nice.
Now, I love how it was announced.
So you guys, it was so bad yesterday. We actually recorded yesterday, was our day to record. We had been planning this for a long time. It's really hard to, work around our schedules, make sure like our guest speakers we're not wasting their time and we're very like mindful. And we were doing the episode yesterday and I never recorded.
Oh.
It wasn't until the end Cindy realized I didn't hit the record button. Yeah. And we were like, wow, that was such an amazing episode. We don't know if it's going to be as great today.
Oh, I will. I wish I could put our faces. We're like, what?
Oh, it was so bad. And I kind of wanted them to finish talking because they were doing something. And I was like, guys. And like, I didn't want to interrupt Jessica because she was saying something. I don't remember because I was so nervous because I had to tell you guys we're like 54 minutes in. And oh, it was so bad. So I'm so sorry. I've already told them so sorry. And that's been our biggest fear since we started the podcast was imagine, because even remember when you used to record them, you would be like, oh my God, what if one day? And like, it's just so crazy that it finally happened. So yeah.
And thank you, Rudy, for being a trooper and coming back. We're going to pay you.
Of course. I had to hop in this episode. I'm excited.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so we owe Rudy like a vacation.
Yeah, paid vacation.
all inclusive.
On the Primas credit card.
A little Tito by the beach. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, guys. My allergies have been acting up today. And so if you see me crying or like coughing a little bit, that's why.
Oh. It'll be okay. We'll take care of you on the podcast.
This is a safe space for you and your allergies.
Yes, let them all out.
No judgment. We love you unconditionally. Speaking of loving you unconditionally, so today's episode is going to be about, it's a Valentine's Day episode. So we wanted to celebrate, we love. Jessica, that's your line. And I quote. And so this is a super fun topic. Again, we're redoing it. So if it's awkward, that's my fault and I will pay for it. Karma's a bitch. Jessica told me yesterday. She's like, karma's a bitch. And I was like, shut up. But yeah, it is. Anyways, so number one, actually, before we get started, I do want to talk, this is a repeat. This is the only repeat. Who is your celebrity crush? Or if they're not a celebrity crush, who do you like and why? Who is like a relationship you admire?
Ooh. I thought about one yesterday. I've been watching the Red Talk Table with Gloria Stefan and Emilio Stefan. Like their Cuban culture, their daughter, like their whole family, and they've been together for years, and they're both musicians, and I just find them so cute. So it's such like a power duo.
Yeah, they look solid, huh? They look very like they've been forever. That's beautiful. What about you, Prima?
The power couple I like that I really admire is Beyonce and Jay-Z, because they've gone through it. I think through their music, they had some infidelity, and to like overcome that and still have kids after, that's just admirable. Like, you know, I'm so quick to be like, no, I'm done, next one, you know, and for them to like work on it and show like relationships aren't easy is what I admire.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because you have to put it, imagine all the work you have to do, but it's like, okay, well, people do make mistakes, but if you're willing to put in that type of work, that's when you're like, okay, maybe we can. Because I used to hate Jay-Z for a while. I took that
because of that.
When Lemonade came out, the album, I was like, oh no, I'm listening to his music again. Yeah, I was like, it was sent to me. Just kidding. But so my celebrity couple, I love them right now. So if you guys have seen the new Spider-Man.
Oh no.
Zendaya and Tom Holland. Did I say that right? Zendaya? I love them. And they're like giving us Notebook Part 2 vibes where they're also together outside, like in real life. And I just think they're like adorable because they're young and they have such a calming energy when they're together. And like, to me, that speaks like it's a very mature connection for such a young couple in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Oh, I like them. I've seen them a lot, but when you said The Notebook, right? Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams, man, I love them. When they broke up, that broke my heart.
Yeah, he's hot too, and she's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Till this day, I cannot accept that they're not together.
I know. The Notebook, yeah, that still gets me.
That's a great movie.
Part two.
Yeah, they're gonna give us part 2. So I hope they never break up because I know we don't know them, but that would break my heart. Okay. So I wanted to also, yesterday I didn't mention this. So see, it's kind of good that we're doing part 2. It's a whole part of my notes. Yeah. So we talk a lot about this, like unconditional love versus conditional love. And I wanted to give some examples because I think I'm getting better at understanding it. Like I understand it, but I think sometimes you can explain it in different ways because it's pretty complex. Because you might think that if you love someone unconditionally, then they can disrespect you or right. And it's just like, that's not, you got to put up boundaries because you respect yourself. So someone who loves you unconditionally loves and accepts you and your flaws, meaning that no one is perfect. We're going to have arguments. We're going to have differences in any situation, not just romantic couples. And unconditional love means knowing that that's going to happen and saying, I still love you. How can we move past this? Because it hurt us or whatever, like definitely addressing that. Do you guys have anything to add to unconditional love?
Yeah, I think you just have to go through some dark times in order to come to the brighter days. You have to go through the fights and the arguing and the, yelling at each other. And then, as time goes on, then things get better.
Yeah. Were you going to say something, Jess?
In regards to unconditional love, no, it's still just very challenging. I think the only unconditional love relationship I have right now is with my daughter, who I accept her like 100%. Everyone else, I think I'm learning to like unconditionally love them.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be romantic, just the relationships in my life.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm learning.
Because love is such a beautiful thing. We heal others when we love others or we allow that space. Am I breaking up to you guys?
I think it was just no. Oh yeah, you're back. You're back. You were a little frozen. I was like,
yeah, I don't want to talk ish because.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just
Get it.
So the one example I wanted to give for. Jenny came in so late.
Sorry.
Okay. It's okay that your internet is doing that. You don't have no control over it, so it happens. Anyways, so the one example I wanted to give for conditional love was, okay, so when you love someone, when you're in a relationship, but then you guys break up, and then if that person moves on, then all of a sudden you want to make their life a living hell. That's conditional love, because you're telling that person, I love you on the condition that you were with me. Now that you're with someone else, I no longer love you. Right. And so I think that's a big one, because you can still have love for an ex and say, man, I wish you happiness. And when you see them with someone else, you're like, good, I hope you're happy. Right. Like, that's unconditional love. Yeah. So I think that's a good example, because a lot of times it's like, well, I'll always love her, but I'm not happy that, it's like, no, their happiness should be your happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should want to see them happy, even if you want to make sure that they're happy and they're living a good life, because they were a piece of you. They're always going to be a piece of you, and you don't want to give that bad energy to somebody. So yeah, and like karma's a bitch. It'll follow you back. So you want to feed people some good stuff to receive good stuff back.
Yeah. That's a good one. Be happy for other people. And it hurts, right? Like, have you guys ever had an ex that moved on and you're like, oh, okay. It hurts. Like, it's okay to process that, but not try to like justify, like, well, I don't like them anymore because they're not with me or they're with someone else,
Yeah. Thank God I don't have an ex.
I was gonna say, I was thinking, I was just like, you guys met each other. Okay, so the reason why we wanted Rudy to come onto this episode was because he's been in a long-term relationship, and I think that's so beautiful. Yeah, when we're in, like, I've never been. My longest relationship was 4 years. Oh, that's a good question, because I feel like that puts context. So, what was your longest relationship, Rudy?
Well, the one I'm in right now, we have 12 years next month. Damn, a long time.
That is a long years. And you're still in love and happy?
Yeah, I'm still in love. I still get jealous. I'm still like, why aren't you texting me? In the beginning, I was like 19. I'm like, oh, there's like all these emotions came up. And I'm like, I wonder, if this is gonna be forever. But when it's gonna be a long-lasting relationship. You feel it. And so, the years go by and the years just start flying by. And then as soon as you know it, it's like, oh, damn, it's going to be 12 years. Sometimes I lose track, but I still like count all the 16s. And I was like, crazy. How do you remember? I'm like, I just keep track of it in my mind.
Yeah.
When it comes to love.
That's awesome. That's so beautiful. What about you, Jess? What has been your longest relationship?
I think on and off 5 years. That's my longest.
It's a long time.
Yeah. I've been in a lot of relationships since I was 15, but the longest was 5 years.
Oh, Miss Popular.
You think you're all bad or what?
Yeah.
I'm just saying I've been in like nonstop relationships, and it's different, like I wish I've had that like longevity one where it was 12 years and I'm still with that person, but I'm not who I am then, and I had a lot of growing up to do, like I just wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy to see people take different paths though, huh? Because it's like with us, similar. Like I only had 3 relationships, but they weren't like super healthy, like I wasn't ready. So like even if it would have been like a long distance, like I don't think it was meant for me at that time, because I wasn't ready. Like I had a lot of shit going on. Like I wasn't bringing good energy sometimes either. So yeah, but it's okay. My boo is out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you.
Out there. He's gonna come one day. You'll find him.
Yeah, I know. I feel it. I'm trying to. When the time is right. Yeah, because It's hard out here with time. Okay.
And you have your cool haircut now.
Huh?
You have your cool haircut now, so you know.
It's so different. Oh, thank you for bringing that up, Rudy. Because can I just say, if I had a light up here, you guys, my hair looks a little bit better.
Oh, that's the cutest little ring light I've ever seen.
I know. This is my first ring light ever, and I thought it was so cool. I was like, oh my God, I'm official. Even though I didn't have YouTube yet, I was like, that's it. I have my ring light.
You made it.
Yeah. So yeah, let's start off with number 1 of 10 ways to build meaningful relationships is to be confident and happy with yourself.
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm. What I would say about being confident is if you're not confident within yourself, it leaves room for insecurities to like spill through like your relationship. So like having, or even those insecurities, like even jealousy, you know, like, oh, why are you looking at that person? And it's just like, well, we're human, you know, our eyes are going to wander, but there is that boundary, right? But I think having confidence within ourselves and working towards that will make a solid foundation for like a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I noticed in my early 20s, in the beginning of the relationship, I was very like a little more insecure, not so secure in myself. And as I would be like, why are you looking at him? Or who are you texting this late? Why is your phone lighting up and it's on? And I look back and I'm like, why was I like that? It wasn't, my confidence levels weren't as high or like secure with my own self.
Yeah, same. And one thing that I think a lot about in relationships is it's very important to me because I have a lot of hobbies and passions and I'm a mom to allow me my freedom. And I was like you, Rudy, I was in relationships where either the guy was like that, like super jealous and possessive, just overboard. And then in my one relationship that I got that the person was more emotionally mature, I turned into that person where I'm like, who is this? Who's that? Because my first relationship taught me that. Yeah. And so I thought that's how relationships were. And so, yeah, that's, you grow a lot. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think if people are insecure, you know, you have to look into that, especially if you do have a partner, because that can cause a lot of issues. You know, when you're young, it's one thing, but we're getting older and yeah, like it's a little different. Like we have to fix that because it hurts, right? Like it hurts everybody. It hurts you and your partner. And so, the other thing I wanted to say about freedom. So I really enjoy having my own time, but in past relationships, especially those like possessive ones, they thought, because I think we like confuse this a lot, that you want your freedom doesn't mean that I want to be out here sleeping with other people and doing just like being secretive or lying. Like that's not what it means. When you're confident, you just respect that person has their own life. And you can be, I don't know, like I think communication is so important, but also just giving them that space where they're not feeling like they have to check in all the time, where you guys just have such a strong bond. And that takes a lot of work. But I think for me, one is freedom. And I think if you're confident and happy with yourself, you're able to allow others that freedom.
And guys, I'll just say it here because I've never told, but I was in my first, when I was like 21, 22, that was our biggest problem. I was like a very, there's a word when you're very, like, you're so clingy, there you go. And you're always so clingy. You always want to be with my friends. Like if he went to a bar, I had to be at the bar. Like I would chase him. And I think that was like a very dark place in our relationship because I was very like obsessive. It was my first big relationship. And I learned the hard way to like, you need to give your man some, you know, you can't be all up in his nuts all the time. And so I learned as like a year or two came by, I was like, all right, you know, like I learned that that's not a healthy way to be in a relationship. So I learned the hard way.
Yeah. And that's good. You guys overcame it though.
Yeah.
See?
Thank God.
See, but that's what it is. That's the unconditional part, Rudy, is that like, you noticed that, you know, this was a moment and you changed it because you're like, no, I want this person and I want to respect what's going on and I need to fix it. And I think that's so beautiful because like Jessica said about Beyonce and Jay-Z, like things are going to come up, like super crazy hard things. But if you're willing and you know that this is your person, like you have to do everything that it takes, even if it causes you to change some behaviors, right? Like, no, I need to be better about being more secure, or, whatever our insecurities are in relationships. So, good for you. Number 2, deep listening. So I learned this from Thich Nhat Hanh, rest in peace. He has transitioned, and he was a huge mentor for me in how to understand others in a very radical and compassionate way. Like, you should never, he was in a different level where he's like, I don't hate anybody, it's all love to everybody. And to really practice that, it's so much work, because things are going to come at you and you need to say, I still love you. Well, that's the level he was at. So I think deep listening is very beautiful, because we all need, I feel like all of us, with our childhood traumas and with our parents being busy or whatever, all of us, it's not just our generation, we didn't get that love and attention that we need as human beings to be healthy and to thrive. And so when you're listening to someone, it seems so basic, but that's the most biggest thing we can do, because no one really listens. Was that me? I hope not. Yeah, because nobody, when you're talking to someone and you want to vent and you're they're checking their phone, or they're looking at other things. This happens to my 5-year-old a lot, where I'm like, she's 5, but I'm like, hey, come back, I'm talking to you. And if you're looking around, it makes it seem like you're not listening, so that she can practice deep listening to others. So yeah, deep listening. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine, when I'm talking to someone and they're on their phone, or they're looking away, especially on a date. I always tell her, put your phone away, maybe an Instagram post, and that's it. I'm like, okay, let's chat, let's talk, let's give each other's attention. That's, I think, a key thing to a relationship, is put your phones away and, hear each other out, get off of the Instagram, and really focus and communicate and have a chat about your day.
Yeah, listening is like you both said, it's very important, and it's another solid foundation, because it comes to communication. I know sometimes when I'm talking to someone and I know that they're not listening, and more thinking of how to rebuttal and what to say, but sometimes it's not even about that. It's about just listening to me, undivided attention with no distractions. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the languages of love, 5 languages of love. By Gary Chapman. That's one of them. And it just makes me think of that love language, which is one of the 5. It's quality time. And that falls under that umbrella of listening, the quality of listening, It's not okay, well, I'm washing the dishes and listening to you, but I'm really it's 50-50, it's divided. I need your 100% undivided attention.
Yeah.
And it just feels nice too when they're looking at you and they do a little smile, or they laugh at what you're saying, and that's when the connection gets deeper.
Yeah.
Look up at me, get off your phone.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think my love language is quality time, because it means so much to me. Or if I want to connect with a friend and I'm like, hey, we haven't seen each other in a while, let's go hiking. Because when you're out in nature, you're really, like you said, you can take a picture for the gram or whatever, but nature, you're passing by rocks, it humbles you. You got to pay attention. You can't be on your phone. And then so much conversation comes from that. And I think it's because of that, or car rides. When I'm with someone, it could be anyone, my brothers or you, Jess, it's so nice to me to just, that to me is better than any gift, any material gift. Is you're allowing me to talk, I'm allowing you to talk. And we're not, like you said, we're not being reactive. We're not thinking about, oh, I should say this to what she's saying, or she's probably needing my help, or, it's just, no, just listen, just let the person vent, but really hear them. And then that's it. They just needed you to listen, to deeply listen. And Thich Nhat Hanh says that deep listening also cures it also heals. Because we're not therapists. I wish I can help people that are in pain, especially my people, right? People that I'm close to. The best thing I can do for them is listen. Just listen. Not even give them feedback unless they want it. But yeah.
You're listen to me, God damn it.
Yeah.
Show me attention.
And I think it might be my love language. Maybe it relates to our traumas. When I was younger, my mom was like always working, like she was just always like, nobody really stopped to listen. And I think maybe that's why, where I'm like, listen to me, or yeah, or like talk to me, you know, like I like to get deep with people also. It's like, if it's not going to get deep, I'm not too good at having like just the surface level stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, just deep talking or just asking questions, like you said, paying attention, the eye contact, and just show that person that you're interested.
Eye contact is important. Number 3, being present. So this is similar, but I think this is a little bit different in that spending quality time. So yeah, you listen, but sometimes that person needs you there physically. Like to me, with my daughter, it's been like an obsession for me since she was born. And I'm very happy that I've had the privilege to do this, but morning routines and night routines like are everything to me, like taking her to school or picking her up from school, because I'm building that routine, and I'm a part of her life. Like, what are you going to do? How do we prepare mentally, emotionally? Who are your friends? What do you do in school? You know, and just to keep that strong relationship and bond.
You're building
it. Yeah, and it's the presence, you know, like there's a lot of parents who unfortunately can't do that. My mom could never. Like, my grandma took me a lot to school, you know, to help my mom out. So, you know, it's different. I loved it, and I have a great relationship with my grandma because she built that. But I think quality time with the person that you love or the people that you love is, I mean, that's right. Like, that's just huge for them.
Yeah. And like you said, making memories. Like me and Edgar, we have like our date nights, and we used to call them, he hates it, but that's the beach nights. So I'm like, let's go on the sands. I hate the sand, but just the fact that we're at the beach and we're like meditating, and just at least once or twice a month or something when it's like nice weather. But still, it's like our beach getaways, I would call it. But it was a nice connection, and the memories and the photos, and it makes you feel good inside.
Yeah, being in the present, it kind of correlates with listening. You know, you got it, to be an active listener, you have to be in the present, you know. And I think it's very challenging for me. Like I just, like, when I posted on my 32nd birthday, Cindy and I were talking about that. Like it is a challenge for me to stay in the present. Like sometimes my anxiety takes me to a future that hasn't even happened, or a past that I'm just like ruminating on and I can't let go. And sometimes like I catch myself when I'm doing these little tasks. I just have to like mentally tell myself, like, just stop, take a deep breath, and bring myself back to the present, because it's so easy to get like, yeah, my body's here and like working in what do you call it? But I need to be present, you know? And I think the biggest distraction is our phones, you know? It's so easy to get lost and keep scrolling, and it's like, oh shit, like 30 minutes has gone by so quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, being in the present is a good one when you're trying to make a good relationship.
And I like how you guys tell your daughter, like you mentioned, like your mom, and because it's not just like like a boyfriend or girlfriend, it's also a connection with like your family or friends or, you know, your pets, or, you know, love is just like for everyone. It's a beautiful thing. So
yeah. And that's a good point, Jess, that you bring up. You're talking about being in the present actual moment, because I was talking physically, but that's a great point, because you can be with someone physically, but you're mentally, you can be, like you said, either worrying, which is about the past, or you have anxiety for future. So that's a great, I wasn't thinking of that. And then the other thing that's very important, that you're present as much as often as you can be, is because you get to learn who that person is. And like you said, Rudy, sometimes it's with my daughter. Like, I want to be present because I want to learn who she is. Sometimes it's with my mom. But even with your partner, like, you want to be a strong foundation for your partner. And that can only happen when you get to know them deeply. You know who they are so much, you know their flaws and all. And so when issues come up, you have a better understanding. You have a better tool as to like, why is my boo reacting this way, you know? And you can understand, oh, it's because of this insecurity, and now you can approach it that way. Because I feel like I've been single for a while, so I obviously, like, I look back at my past relationships and where I was at, and I'm like, you know, I try to analyze everything, like, why did I do that, and I think a lot of it now that I know I'm more emotionally mature, is that present touch, that like really listening, really digging deep. So I can understand who they are. And that takes time. It's not like the first, like, who are you? Who are you? You know, it's like, it takes time, and it takes time to be present.
Yeah, being in the present to me is not me being next to you while you play video games. Oh, that drives me crazy.
Yeah, the video games.
Drives me more crazy than being on the phone.
Because video games is like another world. They're like, you know, in a dimension. Edgar has he plays like computer games. It's like a world that you build buildings, and he gets so into it. I'm like, hello, and he's like, what did you say? I'm like, never mind, I'll just talk to you about it later. Finish the game.
Yeah, that's a big one, because I think parents too, like, they'll be like, oh, I think you used to say it a lot, Jess, like, before, when Melody was a little bit younger, like, she's so clingy. And I'm like, well, because she wants to be present with you. And you're like, we've been together all day, but you're working. That's when you're working from home, and you would give her the phone. And it's like, you guys are physically together.
Yeah.
But you're not. That's how I feel with Peace when we had to drive around so much. I'm like, ugh. You know, like, I'm like, we're not really even looking at each other. She's doing her own thing. And I felt like I don't see her when we have busy days. We were together, but you know, we didn't have that contact, that like no distraction contact. So yeah, I think that's beautiful.
And it's funny how, you know, like, you feel it. And it's usually when you go to bed that night, like, you start thinking, you're like, oh my God, we didn't spend time, or oh my God, I missed them, or we could have been more closer. Maybe we were on our phones, or we really didn't see each other like how I wanted to. And the emotions start coming up.
Yeah. And just like kids act up, right? Like when they're like, why, yeah, my daughter acts up. So she's trained me, like, she needs a lot of, you know, undivided attention. But it's the same thing for our adult, like, romantic relationships, right? Like, people, you start feeling like resentful, you don't know why, or you start, like, issues will start to come up, right? Like, if you're not really like a kid, like, you are not feeding this plant, or you are not watering this plant, so it's dying. And you have to, even, I think, Rudy, would you say, like, even in long-term relationships, like, you got to keep that, you can't just be like, well, we did it already, it's been 12 years.
No, yeah, you have to keep it up. I mean, that's what makes a relationship. I wouldn't be in a relationship that's like, all right, we did it for 5 years, now you're just gonna live with me and be a roommate. Like, I think that's the beauty of it, is keeping up with the, you know, the cards, or hanging out, or having your date nights, or going, you know, to a restaurant alone and not with a bunch of friends. Like, I always try to balance it. Okay, we had a friends night. Okay, like, this Sunday, let's like watch Euphoria and be in our laptops and chill, you know? So it's all about balance. And keeping like, you know, whatever makes you guys happy. Like, hiking is a big one, like you mentioned. That's like a beautiful connection. You're like nature and the wildness, but yeah, just keep the love alive. That's my biggest shout out to the world.
Keep it going, because and you're such different people, right? Like, 12 years.
Yeah,
that's you were a different person, like you said, in the beginning, in the middle, right now, right? And so I think that's important to know, like, you're going to keep changing, so you have to keep learning about your person.
Yeah, that's like the beautiful part. The other day I was going through like my old laptop photos. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't have a beard in this photo, or like my hair was longer, and like we were like kids, like going to bars and going to Vegas. And I'm like, oh my God, we used to do this, we used to do that. And now it's like we matured more, and we're growing, and we're, you know, opening our business and going into classes. And, you know, it's cool to see like the growth of us. And that's the beauty of it. And that's the goal. We have to grow, you know, so.
Yeah. Okay, number 4 is, it's kind of like a few. It's respect and non-judgment. So to have respect for, like, real true respect, and to not judge the person. So again, that's going back to like unconditional love, right? Is saying, just because this person hurt you or made you upset, because that's going to happen. You're going to hurt them, they're going to hurt you. We're human. That's just who we are. It's going to happen. But the more respect you have, because I think when issues come up, you know, you want to hold that space and say, like, hey, this is okay, but like, you hurt me, so let's talk about this. And that person is reactive, or they're like, they take offense to it, then that's pretty heartbreaking, right? You're just kind of like, no, let's fix it. Let's think of something. And that they're just kind of, you know, they're in a different world. And I think that can be bad for a relationship. It can break up relationships. And I think when you have that respect and non-judgment, then you say like, what are some solutions? I didn't mean to hurt you. I would never want to hurt you, but I did. So how can we move forward? Yeah, so that's that one.
Yeah, apologizing is a big thing. Sometimes you just have to put your pride down and say, you know what, I'm sorry. Let's fix it. Let's move on. Because if you don't, it starts to pile up.
Yeah.
And then it blows up, and then you don't know, there's the fighting, the slamming the door, and the cussing, and that's where it's like not healthy anymore.
Yeah, that's that's a disrespectfulness coming out. And yeah, I've been very disrespectful too. And thanks to therapy, I've learned like not to be so reactive. And I don't want that characteristic in my present relationship. Because I think I was modeled that as a kid, and I thought that was normal also. But as I've gotten older, now that I have a daughter who looks up to me, I'm like, no, I don't want her to grow up thinking like this is okay for men and women to, or you and your partner to treat each other. This is not. It should always be a level of respect. Even if there is a disagreement, there should be no level of disrespect there. And I think I just learned that.
Thank God for therapy.
Yeah. And it's a theme in the Primas podcast of like us breaking generational cycles, right? Because like you said, Jess, me as well. My mom used to hit us, and she was pretty toxic. And I used to be attracted to that, like in men, like, like I'm like, oh my God, now looking back, like, whoa, like that was something that was my trauma bond. Like I just liked people who were abusive. Isn't that crazy?
Like it was like normal to you in your mind, like, oh, that's a normal thing.
Yeah, until I couldn't ever stay, right? And those, I was always like, how do other people stay? Because I would tell, other people, and they're like, that's just how people are. And I'm like, but that's the people in our environment, like you said, Jess. And so we grow up seeing this, and who do we have that is modeling these healthy relationships? We learned it on our own, like you said, through therapy, through experiences, through hitting rock bottom, whatever it is, like we need to relearn, right? Like reshape. And I think you guys are doing a great job, Rudy, because you got something. Like it's hard to keep a long relationship alive and happy. And it's so beautiful. Like the long-term benefit is amazing. It's a huge investment. But I think if more people, we're different, right? But like, I think still more people would benefit greatly. Their health, their mental, emotional health would benefit greatly if we can sustain strong relationships with others, romantic or not. So I think, it's a big one.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes you hear about breakups, but like it's a positive thing in a way, because I've seen people go from a certain, like their actions, or they used to drink a lot with that partner, or they never did anything in school, or their dreams, and then they found this other partner, and now they're in school and they're not really drinking, and they bought a house. So sometimes you just have to go through, the little bullshit with people in order to grow to like, bigger and better things.
Yeah.
We just have to go through that whole, the experience with the man or the woman or whatever. So
yeah,
that's how it is. That's how it works sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good point, because a lot of people will stay in relationships because they're either afraid, right? Like they don't want to leave because what are they going to do? And it's really hard, especially if you're in a toxic relationship, but it's
the dependency. Yeah, that's another issue. It's dependency,
which we learn, right? And our grandparents, like me and Jess are related through our dad's side. So those grandparents, they've been together forever, but it's been the most toxic relationship. And I grew up with them and my mom, and those were my models, and they've stayed. And my grandma's like, well, what am I going to do? When I would ask her when I was younger, like, leave him. I can drive now. We can, we can run away from this. And she's just like, she didn't want to. And she was miserable, but like, that's kind of like old school. Like you got to till death do them part. And I'm like,
Él es mi hombre, yo no lo voy a dejar. Yeah. That's how being Cuba too with my grandparents, everyone. We're not leaving each other. That's just, I think that's how they came up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so we are on number 5. Number 5 is be yourself. Super simple idea, right? But like it took me a long time to get where I am today, where I can like finally cut my hair. Let me remind you guys, it's cute. It's lighting.
Very nice. I love it.
And I've always wanted to do it, but like I put a lot of value and worth on like the things that society or even in my environment would tell me like, oh, you have a very nice body, or your hair, why would you ever cut it? And I know that I'm just older now, right? And so I have like a deeper relationship. Like those things don't matter to me anymore. Or even to think like, if I'm going to attract someone based off of my looks, that hasn't gotten me into positive situations in the past. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, very the Latina, like, oh, you got a butt, you got boobs, you're curvy. And it's just like, it never played out positively for me, you know? And so I'm just like, no, I look at my body differently, and I'm more than we're more than our bodies. And so I think now I can be myself confidently, and I feel super sexy. I said this yesterday, because I know I don't look that way. Yeah, like I think, this isn't like what you would consider sexy as a woman, but like it feels so liberating to know now that I'm like, I don't care what my hair looks like. I feel amazing. Like I feel fine. And I feel like now I know how to be a healthy partner. The hair has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Like I know how to treat others with respect. Like I've learned that. So.
And you are a sexy woman. We're all beautiful people. It's beautiful to hear you talk how you're loving yourself more now, and you're getting to know who you are.
Yeah.
And then the next step will be you'll find a partner, and then that partner will see that you love yourself, and you'll get to show that to him. And then it's like, boom, match made in heaven. And then the babies.
Exactly what you're saying. I heard that earlier. See, that's why I know it's coming. I'm in alignment, because I heard exactly what you said, that like once you exude the love that you have for yourself, you're putting that love out there, and it's really attractive, not in a physical way, in a very like energetic way. Because it's not just with men, it's not just romantic situations, it's with anybody, right? You walk into a room and you're good, and people notice that, or you have a loving or like caring personality, and people just are gravitated towards that. So I did hear that earlier.
What's that?
What?
Did you hear that?
I'm like, oh, they're gonna make us dance. I was like, boom, boom, like drums.
Yeah, that.
My notes. Sorry.
It's like crumbling it. Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Did you cumbia? Some sonidero? I know. We should have music.
Being yourself is really tough though. And like me, it's like, I feel like that came to me without wearing makeup. Like before I'd be like, oh, I can't go outside without wearing makeup. And now I'm like, I do a freaking podcast and I'm like, look, I don't have makeup on right now. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So it is, I don't know if it's maturity or what, or loving yourself that much, but it's just like, who cares? Like, I don't care. This is who I am. And either you can accept it or not. Like,
I think it's the 30s. When you turn 30, like, I don't give a fuck what people think. More like, oh my God, my haircut and my fade. And now I'm like, who cares? I'll put a hat and go.
Yeah.
But
I love it, right? Like even if it is maturity, like it feels better. We don't have the same insecurities that we're so over. We're like, you know what? Take it or leave it. I can't do it.
I know.
Makeup or no makeup, hat or no hat, it's just take me or leave me.
Yeah.
Serious.
Number 6, this one's easy but hard. Be positive about the whole thing. And that one to me kind of stood out because it means like sometimes when you put yourself out there to date, or whatever, it can be like it could not work out, or people like try online dating and they're just like, oh, it didn't work out, and it's just like, well, you have to really approach the situation in a positive way. You're not gonna just find this amazing lifelong partner off of this app on the one time, right? Like being positive, even if you do start to date someone and you like them so much, to detach, allow them that freedom, so that if they're like, you know what, I'm not happy, they're doing you a favor because they're saying that I'm not your person. Let me keep looking then. So that's what I mean with like, be positive about the whole thing. Like know that whatever it is, have fun, like enjoy it, be nice, do your best.
That's a good one. Have fun. Don't feel like it has to be forced, or like I have to be online and I have to find someone. And I've seen people do that and they get mad too. Like oh, I'm pissed, no one's like, liking my photo, or no one DM me. And it's like, they can't be forced that way. It has to flow to you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes even like your good friends can be like your longtime lover. I've seen it happen too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So, okay, number 7 is to be honest and not to lie. So, I mean, that sounds like super common knowledge, but I think a lot of people who might have learned like through their traumas, right, to lie, to be compulsive liars, or to keep things, or just to like sneak in and out of situations, I feel like that's something they learn to do. But it's very damaging to any relationship. Like if someone's a compulsive liar, they're going to struggle with romantic relationships and just right, because people can't learn to trust you if you're not trustworthy. So I think that's a big one if you want authentic, strong bonds.
Yeah, lying is just not in some people's nature, and it's not in mine. Like I just can't, like I can't keep up with the lie. I won't remember it. So if I find out someone's lying to me, that's such a deal breaker. I feel like that just shatters a lot of the foundation, because I have that expectation of my partner. Mm-hmm. And for them not to have it like reciprocated to me, it's going to be very heartbreaking.
Yeah, once you lie, it's not the same anymore. Then you have to build the bridge again.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're like, oh, if they go on a trip and they lied or like cheated or something, then you're like, oh, are they really doing that? And like that's when the trust comes in, the fights come in, the issues come in, and lying causes anxiety, like all that your anxiousness in your mind, like oh my god, and all these like rapid thoughts, and just don't lie, just be honest.
Yeah, and I feel like someone who's comfortable with themselves, like be yourself, right? Number 5. Why would you lie? I don't understand the need for it, right? So then I think if you don't have like 1 through 6 of like those things, then yeah, I think honesty is just natural, because you're not even being true to yourself. So how I won't know that until you start lying to me, and then I start seeing little lies, like come out, and I'm just like, oh
yeah, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true what you said, Jess, that like if you work on yourself, right, like it goes hand in hand. Like if you are a person who lies because that's what you learned to do so much, it's conditioned, it's a reaction that you're going to do because your brain knows this is how we work, right? We lie. But you can work on that. And the one that we just said, like, or number 5, be yourself, like no one is perfect. So when we do lie, it's because we're masking something, and it's better to like not mask it, even if it's going to be hurtful. So that's better, right? Like, hey, you're not going to like what I have to say, but I'd rather say it than lie. That I think speaks volumes. And that's how you can begin to, yes, it's going to be a hard conversation, but you owe that person that respect to not lie to them, to be honest.
Yeah. Don't lie, people.
Don't lie. Number 8, know when to pick up the phone. So this one is, we were talking about like, when someone starts going back and forth with me, like, well, and it's just like not going well, I learned to kind of like cut it, like nip it in the bud. Like, no, let's set up a time to talk, or can we see each other in person? Can we have coffee? I want to fix this in person, because a lot goes on in text messages where people read things differently. And if you're already having like some type of argument or negative tension type conversation going on, you want to be as clear as possible. And we need to know, right? We need to be mature enough to be like, all right, I'm not doing this over the phone, let's meet up, or I'm not going to text you, let's call. So that's that one. Know when to pick up the phone.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like, it connects to communication. So communicate. I mean, sometimes the phone, I don't think it's good enough. I'm like, I need to see you in person. We need to talk, and there's where I think it gets better and more real.
Yeah, because text messages can be so misinterpreted. And then when you're in front of someone, you see their body language. And I think that is like, it's more like relatable, right? Like we can see how they're feeling and how their message is coming across, as opposed to text. It's easy to say stuff, but when you're in front of someone, it's just like, no, let's just lay it out all.
Oh, she's back.
I'm sorry. Did you guys hear that when I said lay it out on the table?
Yeah.
I'm sure her table. It was like mix, take it to the table.
We eventually got it. Let's put it.
I'm like, okay, I'll come back.
Oh, yeah, that's what she was trying to say.
But we got you. We got you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the positivity. I really appreciate it this time around.
Yeah. What you were saying, Jess, though, like about the body language is the other one that we were talking about, number 3, being present, right? Like we just, as humans, we like that. And someone took the time. Some people really turn it around, sometimes just with my presence. Cause I'm like, hey, look, I think we're getting off on the wrong foot, or I didn't mean to hurt you. What's up? Let's talk. I want to fix this. That just does it sometimes for people. And they get uncomfortable because they're like, what? And it's like, no, I hurt you. You wanted to like argue on the text message. I don't want to do that. So what can I do? That's just so healing, right? Or like, I don't know. It's just beautiful. Like, wow, you care? I do. All right, well, I love you too. Great. We're friends again. Right? Like sometimes it's that simple.
Like, give me a hug. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, that's happened to me and it really works. The other one, number 9, we're almost done. Learn to trust again. So I think this one could be hard, especially like for me and Jess, that we didn't have long relationships. We had a few. And after a few heartbreaks, it's really, really hard to open up again. But I think love is so beautiful and powerful and transformative that I want to feel that again. Like I want to experience that. And I want to be very conscious of not attaching, like knowing that this person is free as a person. If they want to be with me, amazing, let's do it. And if not, that's also okay. And so learning to trust again.
Learning to trust,
yeah.
And once you learn, I mean, you have to kind of maybe start another relationship and start kind of small and then build it, like the trust coming in. But you'll feel it once the love comes in. You'll feel that connection.
Yeah.
Manifesting love for you this year, 2022.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not like in a rush, but like I love relationships, I think some people are like, you're so happy and comfortable being single. I am a lot, like I so am, but there's nothing like that. I think it's like, no, I feel like I'm way too young to be like, all right, well, shit, it didn't work out. Cause I was that way, like maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, you glow when you talk about it. You like even blush. You're like, oh, my love, I'm gonna find him. Like your smile comes on.
If you're watching, DM me. I'm desperate. Just email me. Just kidding.
We go add our email to the bottom.
I know.
Imagine finding love with Cindy show. Call her.
We should have a show. We should have like an old school dating show. I'm gonna just pick 3 contenders who I think are the most compatible.
Definitely not.
Yeah, and you're not gonna see them. You're just gonna hear them.
The blindfolded dating show.
Yeah.
Like, what would you do if they have to answer?
I can picture it. That's funny in my head.
We should do it, and we're gonna record it.
And then whoever wins, it's gonna be like a crazy like makeout.
Damn.
Just kidding. But wouldn't that be funny? Like when people would do that in shows, you're just like, you guys don't know each other.
Spanish ones. I'm like, damn. Enamorándonos. My mom watches that one. I'm like, damn. They get like freaky on that show.
Yeah. See, there's a lot of Latino shows like that. There used to be another one where it was like a group of girls and a group of guys. And I'm like, everyone's just horny. And I was young. I'm like, this isn't love.
That's not love. It's just horny.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
it's so funny.
So learn to trust again. And last but not least is be clear about what you want. Some people want casual, some people want just to date, some people want to find like they're ready to like dedicate that time and presence. And so I think a lot of the time we're so afraid, like we want to be accepted, we want to be loved, that we'll lie or we'll kind of modify our stuff to just be with a person.
Yeah.
To make it work, right? We want like what we see others have. And it's like, sometimes we need to take a step back and not play with someone's emotions, right? Like if someone is ready for something serious and you're not, think about it. You might, this person might've been like, all right, well, shit, I met the best person that I ever, fine. I am ready now. But I think that's a big one, is to be honest about what you want, what your intentions are. I think we should have those conversations where we have to. That's the responsible thing to do.
Yeah, the status of it, because I've seen that too in relationships. Like, oh, one's in one page and one's in the other. Like, we're dating, and the guys that we're not dating, we're just friends. So I think if you're not in the same page, and that's when it starts to kind of not go like the full potential.
Yeah.
And it ties into honesty, just being honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, you guys, that was it. And we recorded. I'm so happy. Thank you guys so much.
Imagine like you hit the record button.
Yes.
It is. And I kept checking it throughout the whole thing. Now I'm paranoid. I cannot. That's so bad. That's so crazy. But we hope you guys enjoyed the 10 meaningful ways to build a relationship. Give us advice. Tell us what your most romantic Valentine's Day ever was, or anything like that. Any relationship tips, we're welcoming them. Do you guys have any last words?
I have some flowers. Like, buy your girls flowers.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I know you mentioned that one yesterday.
I did.
I wanted a little prop. I'm like,
those are beautiful. They're all real.
Yeah, I made it at Trader Joe's. I like eucalyptus.
It smells probably super bomb.
Yeah, Edgar never gives me flowers, so I'm like, I have to buy my own flowers. Buy your own flowers if your man don't give you flowers.
And then just put them in his face. Be like, I got these for myself.
Please, all for me.
So speaking of which, last V-Day question. What kind of gift would you prefer on Valentine's Day? Do you want
Rudy?
Oh,
okay.
You can go first, Cindy.
Okay, I just had already thought about it, so I'm like, do you guys want me to go first? But I, want to let you guys. So for me, I kind of switched it because I was saying indoors, like staying inside, but I think like a meal that you cook together, and then like having dinner, and even if it's inside your house or their house, and like getting dressed up and being sexy. I think I love that, like cooking together, like that experience, that quality time. That would be like the best gift. You don't even got to get me anything after that. Just let's do that. What about you guys?
I would love a bottle of rosé with a nice meal, and then maybe being outdoors, going out. A nice bottle and flowers and going out, maybe going to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then coming home and dancing and just cuddling away.
Yeah.
Same. I like outdoorsy, and I'm very social. So I would like to go out and go somewhere where there's 80s music. That's showing me a good time right there.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, some jazz music, some music, maybe like a little out together with some music. And well, that sounds fun. I want to.
See, you guys, we're like simple people. We don't want diamonds, we don't want watches. We're just
it's
like
quality time. Yeah, we want that quality time.
Yeah.
Quality time matters, you guys. Maybe your partner this Valentine's Day doesn't need $100 in stuff. Maybe they need you to be present. I wanted to do the whole thing. So yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine. Woo.
We love.
We love, and it lands on a Monday. What like the beginning of the week. So
Mondays. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. We love you. Give us feedback, and happy Valentine's Day.
Happy
Bye.
Bye.